class. My name is Gitanjali Stevens, and you can call me Miss Stevens. And I'm going to be teaching you about the SAT questions. But first I wanted to ask you, what are your names?
Okay, so my name is Coral.
Nice to meet you, Coral.
And my name is Shilu.
Nice to meet you, Shilu. I'm glad you're taking my class today. So today I'm going to be teaching you about two different sections of the SAT. The first section is the sentence completion section, and the second section is the dual short reading section. So let's start with the first section, which is the sentence completion section. Now I'm going to explain to you different strategies that you can use for each section. I'm going to tell you them all, but that doesn't mean you're going to use all of them every single time. You might use only the ones that work for you. So first of all, let's look at this question in particular. Does anyone want to read it out for me?
Okay, so me.
Okay.
By the end of a long arduous hike, Chris was walking with a blank gait, limping slowly back to the campsite.
Awesome. So would the answer be, you're given 5 options here, and there will always be 5 multiple choice options. The first one is A, halting. Second one is B, robust. And the third one is C, constant. D, prompt. And E, facile. So for the first strategy here, it is, does anyone want to read it for me?
Read the sentence carefully and the entire sentence.
Read this, that's right. So make sure you read the whole sentence carefully and the entire sentence. The SAT is ready for partial readers. So they know they will trick you if you only read half of it. So make sure you read all the sentence because there's important information in every single part. So for the second one, anyone want to read the second strategy?
The second strategy is use clue words.
Right, so use clue words. So for this one, does anyone know? Well, I'll just tell you this time. For this one, I'll have you guess what the clue words are. So for this one, there's important words here. The first one is long. The second one is arduous. So I'm sure we all know what the word long means. But arduous means difficult. So this is talking about a very long and difficult hike. Another clue word here would be limping. So limping is when you can't walk properly, and slowly. So look for these adjectives that help explain what the blank word might be. So the third strategy is use the other clause. You might just focus on one clause. Before I start talking about clauses, I'll explain to you what a clause is. A clause is a part of a sentence. So in the SAT sentence completion questions, they usually have questions with 2 clauses. The first part with the blank, and the second part with more information and adjectives. So if you're just focusing on the first part and you can't tell the answer from the first part, you can look to the second clause, which might give you more information. Here it talks about him limping slowly, which is a very key piece, which we'll find out in a second. So for the fourth strategy, does anyone want to read what it is?
Make a plus or a minus.
Make a plus or a minus. That's right. So this is a great strategy if you have sort of a hunch if the word is used in a positive context or a negative context. So for example, for this blank, you would put either a plus or a minus, and you would put a plus or a minus on as many as you could here, and that would help you eliminate some words that don't match. For example, if you put a minus here and a plus here, you might be able to eliminate that answer right away because you know it's used in a positive context. So for this sentence in particular, would it have a positive context or way of being, or a negative context?
It's absolutely negative.
Yeah, that's right, it's negative because it just talks about it being a long, difficult hike, and when he's done, he's slowly limping back from it. So it's used in a negative context. So does anyone want to read the fifth strategy for me? Anticipate what the sentence is trying to say. Oh, sorry, I just read it for you. Anyways, there it is. Anticipate what the sentence is trying to say. So for this strategy, you might just cover these up or not look at them and figure out in your own mind, if you were making up a word to fill in that blank, what word would it be? What word would fill in that sentence well? And it probably won't be these words, it'll probably be a simpler word, but if you know what these words mean, and you can find find a matching word to your word, then you found the right answer. So that's another strategy that you could use. Does anyone want to use the sixth strategy? Does anyone want to read it for me? Sorry.
Use a process of elimination.
Awesome. Use a process of elimination. So that's a good strategy if you have an idea of what some or all of these words mean. So for this one in particular, A, halting, means slowly and stopping every time. B, robust, means strong and healthy. C, constant, means at a continual rate over time. D, prompt, means on time and punctual. And E, facile, means very easily. So if you know what these words mean, you can cross off ones that absolutely don't fit the sentence. For example, E, facile, he wouldn't be walking easily back to the campsite because we've already talked about how it was long and difficult and how he's limping. So that absolutely would not make sense. You could cross that off. So after going through all of these, you would see that the answer is A, halting, using all your strategies, because halting means very slowly and stopping every time. So by the end of a long, arduous hike, Chris was walking with a halting gait, limping slowly back to the campsite. So he's walking slowly and stopping every time. Does anyone want to read the very last strategy that you would always use?
That's double check your answer.
Double check your answer. So you would fill it in just like I filled it in there, and you would say to yourself, does this answer feel right? Does it sound right? If it doesn't sound right, then you could go back and use the first 6 strategies again as often as